He was the angel of fire. He was the watcher of light. His name was Uriel. From the beginning, Uriel stood close to the burning truth of God, not to touch it, not to control it, but to watch it. His name carried meaning. God is my light. God is my flame. Wherever truth burned brightest, Uriel was there. Unlike other angels, Uriel was not sent to save, destroy, or interfere. His role was different. He observed, he understood, and when the time came, he explained. He stood at the edge of divine fire, learning its purpose, then carrying that understanding to the world. Ancient writings describe Uriel as one of the great archangels who watch over creation. He was linked to the earth and to the deep abyss below it. This placed him between worlds, between light and darkness, between judgment and understanding. He did not rule the fire. He explained why it burned. When humanity began to fall into corruption, Uriel did not try to stop what was coming. Instead, he was sent to a man named Noah. Uriel warned him of the flood. He explained what would happen and why it had to happen. The truth was heavy, but Uriel carried it with clarity, not fear. In another time, a man named Ezra struggled with questions about suffering and justice. Why did evil exist? Why did the world seem unfair? God sent Uriel to him. Patiently, Uriel answered his questions, not with comfort alone, but with understanding. He showed Ezra that some truths can only be seen from above. Uriel lived where holy fire met reason. He did not change the path of events. He revealed their meaning. His purpose was never to soften judgment, but to shine light on it. So Uriel became the angel of wisdom, the guide for those brave enough to ask hard questions, the watcher who stood near the fire and returned with answers. And for those who listened, the light he carried changed everything. Uriel's fire was never meant to comfort, it was meant to reveal. Some fires give warmth, they make people feel safe. Uriel's fire did something different. It showed things as they truly were. When his light appeared, shadows disappeared. Nothing could hide. People who searched for answers often expected peace or reassurance. They hoped for words that would calm their fears. But when Uriel came, his truth did not soothe. It exposed. His light revealed what had been ignored, buried, or denied. When Uriel warned Noah about the coming flood, he did more than speak of water and destruction. He revealed the reason behind it. The world had filled with violence. Injustice had spread everywhere. Human hearts had turned away from what was right. The flood was not random. It was the result of what humanity had become. That truth was heavy, and it burned like fire. Uriel did the same during Enoch's journeys. When questions arose about suffering and chaos, Uriel pulled back the darkness. He revealed the actions of fallen angels. He showed how forbidden knowledge and human choices had twisted the world. These answers were not easy to hear. They did not bring comfort. They brought clarity. His fire stripped away illusion. It showed causes, not excuses. It explained consequences, not escape. To see through Uriel's light meant facing uncomfortable truths about the world and about oneself. Many believe they want the truth until the truth arrives. Uriel's revelations forced people to confront how far they had wandered. Understanding God's plan often meant understanding human failure as well. Yet this fire was not cruel. It was necessary. By revealing what was wrong, Uriel gave a chance to change. By warning of what was coming, he allowed preparation. His light did not warm the heart at first, but it saved lives and souls in the long run. Uriel's fire was like a bright light cutting through darkness. It did not make the night gentle, it made the danger visible. And for those willing to look, that light became guidance. The fire that reveals may burn the eyes, but it shows the path forward. When the angels fell, Uriel did not raise a sword. Others were sent to fight. Others were sent to bind. But Uriel was sent to explain. His task was not to stop the fall, but to reveal what it meant and what would follow. Long ago, a group of angels known as the Watchers abandoned their place in heaven. They came down to the earth, drawn by desire and pride. They broke sacred boundaries. They taught humans forbidden knowledge and took human wives. From this union came giants who filled the world with violence and fear. The earth began to groan under their weight. Yet even then, Uriel did not strike them down. Instead, he showed the truth of their future. When Enoch was taken on his journey beyond the world, Uriel guided him through visions few humans were meant to see. He led him beneath the surface of the earth to a place of silence and shadow. It was not heaven. It was not the living world. It was a prison waiting to be sealed forever. Uriel revealed that the fallen angels were already judged, even if their punishment had not yet reached its final form. They were bound, restrained, and cut off from their former glory. Time itself became their chain. They would remain there, waiting until the appointed day of final judgment. This was the truth Uriel carried. Justice does not always come quickly, but it always comes completely. The Watchers had once shone like stars. Now they lay buried in darkness. Their power was broken. Their freedom was gone. What remained was only the certainty of what awaited them. Uriel explained that nothing had escaped God's sight. The rebellion was allowed for a time, but it was never beyond control. Every act had been recorded. Every choice had shaped the outcome. For Enoch, this revelation brought both fear and peace. Fear because the justice of God was absolute. Peace because evil was not eternal. Chaos was not in charge. The fallen angels had an end, and it was already written. Uriel showed that the universe is not ruled by chance. Even when darkness rises, it is only temporary. Even when judgment waits, it is never forgotten. The fall had happened. The damage was real, but the outcome was sealed. And Uriel, the angel of understanding, made sure that truth was known. Uriel showed Enoch something most never consider. Knowledge itself is not evil, but knowledge given too early can destroy everything. The fall of the world did not begin only with violence. It began with secrets. The Watchers did not just break the laws of heaven by coming to earth. They broke something deeper by teaching humans things they were never meant to know yet. They gave knowledge without permission, and knowledge taken out of its proper time became poison. Humans were taught how to shape metal into weapons. They learned how to read the stars for power instead of wonder. They were shown secrets of enchantments, symbols, and hidden arts. Even beauty became a tool of deception instead of joy. These things spread fast, too fast. Humanity had no wisdom to guide them. Uriel helped Enoch understand that none of this knowledge was evil by nature. Metal can build, stars can guide, beauty can uplift, but when these things arrive before the heart is ready, they turn against the one who holds them. It was like giving fire to a child. The fire is not wicked, but the result is always harm. The Watchers forced heaven's secrets into human hands all at once. Humanity had no time to grow, no time to learn restraint. Power arrived before responsibility. Skill arrived before wisdom, and the world paid the price. Violence exploded. Pride grew. Desire ruled. Humans used what they learned not to build, but to dominate. Not to protect, but to destroy. What should have taken generations arrived in a moment, and the earth could not survive it. Uriel revealed a hard truth. What is taken without permission becomes a sentence. The Watchers stole knowledge that did not belong to them to give. In doing so, they sealed their own judgment and dragged humanity into chaos. This is why the world had to be cleansed. The flood was not only washing away bodies, it was washing away poisoned knowledge that had spread too far and too fast. Uriel made it clear that God is not afraid of humans learning. Growth is part of creation, but wisdom must come with knowledge, and wisdom takes time. When humans rush ahead of their own maturity, Enlightenment becomes destruction. The lesson was simple but severe. The right thing at the wrong time becomes the wrong thing. Truth without readiness can ruin a soul. Uriel's fire revealed that patience is protection, boundaries are mercy, and wisdom is not how much one knows, but knowing when to seek and when to wait. In a world that burned from stolen knowledge, this understanding was the first step toward healing. Nothing ended without a warning. Before the world was torn apart, someone was told. Before the waters rose, a voice carried the truth. Uriel was that voice. He did not arrive with thunder or fear. He came with knowledge. His task was not to stop what was coming, but to make sure it was understood. Destruction was already decided, but mercy still made room for explanation. Uriel was sent to Noah while the earth still looked normal. Fields were green, people lived as they always had. Violence filled the land, but few believed it mattered. Uriel revealed what lay ahead and why it could no longer be delayed. The flood was not an accident. It was the result of a world that refused to change. Noah was not chosen because he was powerful. He was chosen because he listened. Uriel gave him time. Time to prepare, time to act, time to understand the weight of what was coming. The ark was not built in panic. It was built in response to a warning. To everyone else, the flood appeared sudden. But heaven knew it had been a long time coming. This pattern was not unique. Before judgment, there was always a message. Before punishment, there was always patience. The fallen angels were told of their fate long before it arrived. Humanity was shown the cost of its corruption before the waters fell. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was rushed. Uriel stood at the center of this mercy. He carried truth forward even when it was ignored. Whether people listened or not did not change his mission. The warning was still given. Most laughed, some doubted. Many chose to continue as they were. The silence that followed their choice was not heaven's absence. It was the final space to repent. Destruction came only after that silence had spoken. The flood proved something important. Judgment is never an ambush. It is the last step after truth has been revealed and rejected. God does not delight in surprise. He offers understanding before consequence. Uriel's role reminds us that warnings often arrive quietly. They come through knowledge, conscience, and clarity. They are easy to dismiss and hard to recognize once ignored. Noah survived because he trusted the explanation, not the crowd. The ark was built from obedience to understanding, not fear of punishment. And so the world learned a painful lesson. When warnings are ignored, destruction feels sudden. But in heaven, it was announced long ago. Uriel did not stop with the heavens. There was more that Enoch needed to see. Below the land where people lived and breathed, below the paths of stars and angels, another world existed. It was hidden from human eyes, quiet, already prepared. Nothing there was random, nothing was rushed. These places had been set in place long before rebellion ever began. Uriel explained that creation was not flat. What humans saw was only the surface. Beneath it were deep places made for a purpose. They were not created out of anger. They were ready long before they were needed. As Enoch followed, the light around them slowly changed. It became weaker. The warmth faded. The ground beneath his feet opened into wide spaces, carved deep into the world. There were valleys so deep he could not see the bottom. There were pits that dropped straight into darkness. There were chambers cut into stone like rooms waiting to be used. Fire burned there, but it did not spread. It did not roar. It stayed where it belonged. Then Uriel led him to a place that made his heart sink. Beings that once shone like stars were now bound together in the depths. They did not move. They did not speak. Their strength was gone. These were the Watchers who had rebelled. Uriel told him they had once walked freely between heaven and earth. Now they were silent and restrained, waiting for a judgment already decided. but not yet finished. The sight shook Enoch. Fear rose in him, followed by questions. Uriel answered calmly. These places had existed before the fall ever happened. Nothing here was built as a reaction. Nothing had surprised heaven. The rebellion did not change the plan. Beyond the prison of the fallen angels, Uriel showed him more. There were other places below the world. Some were set aside for human souls. They were quiet and still. Others felt empty, as if they were waiting for their time. One valley stood apart from the rest. It was dry and silent. Nothing grew there. Nothing moved. Uriel explained that this place was meant for those who refused every chance to change. Slowly, understanding began to settle in. Nothing beneath the world was out of control. Every space had limits. Every fire had boundaries. Every place had a reason. Uriel made it clear that justice was not sudden. It had always been part of creation. Light had its place. Darkness had its place. Even evil had limits. The fire beneath the world existed so corruption could never last forever. Evil could rise for a time, but it could not escape its end. There was always a place for it to be held. When Enoch thought of the world above, it no longer felt chaotic. Wars, suffering, and injustice were not signs that everything had failed. They were signs that the story was still moving. Uriel allowed him to see what most never do. What looked like delay was patience. What felt like silence was waiting. Nothing had been forgotten. The fire beneath the world was not chaos. It was there to make sure chaos would not remain. Not every prayer is answered with words. Some prayers rise into the air and seem to disappear. They are spoken in pain, whispered in fear, or cried out in desperation. To the one praying, it feels like nothing happens. Heaven feels quiet. God feels far away. Uriel listens to those prayers. He is among the angels who hear the cries that never seem to change anything. Not because those prayers are weak, not because they are ignored, but because their outcome is already known. Long ago, when the Watchers ruled the earth through fear and violence, people cried out, families suffered, innocent blood was spilled. The prayers of the broken rose day after day. For a long time, nothing changed. To those praying, heaven was silent. But the cries were heard. Uriel, along with the other great angels, listened. They carried those cries upward. What followed was not immediate rescue, but a plan already forming. Judgment was decided. Justice was delayed, but it was not forgotten. Silence did not mean neglect. It meant timing. Later, even the Watchers themselves began to pray. Once they were bound and stripped of their power, fear took hold of them. Too late, they realized what they had lost. They asked Enoch to speak for them. They begged him to carry their request to God. They hoped mercy might still be possible. Uriel already knew the answer. Still, Enoch was allowed to go. He carried their plea to the far places of the earth and lifted it before heaven. The response came back clear and final. Their sentence would not be changed. Their time for repentance had passed long before fear drove them to prayer. They were heard. But the answer was no. This is where silence becomes hard to understand. From the outside, it looks cruel. From the inside, it feels unbearable. But Uriel understood what others could not. Some choices fix the outcome. Some doors close forever. The Watchers did not lose mercy because they asked too late. They lost it because they never truly changed. Their prayer came from fear, not from truth. Uriel stands in the space between prayer and answer. He hears the cries of the innocent and the desperate words of the guilty. He knows which prayers will bring change and which will meet silence. Not because he decides, but because the truth has already been revealed to him. This is why silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes the answer has already been written. Sometimes the story must finish the way it began. In those moments, heaven does not argue with itself. It waits. For humans, This is the hardest lesson. People pray for healing that never comes. They pray for protection that arrives too late. They pray for change, and the world continues as it was. In those moments, doubt grows. Faith shakes. Silence feels like rejection. But Uriel's role tells a different story. Every prayer is heard. Not every prayer is granted. Not every prayer is answered with comfort. Some are answered with time, some with judgment, some with silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is restraint. It is the space where justice and mercy balance each other. It is where God's knowledge outweighs human understanding. Uriel does not remove the pain of unanswered prayers. He explains why they exist. He reminds us that heaven sees farther than we do. That outcomes we cannot accept the way they are may be the only way they can be. That some prayers ask for escape when the lesson requires endurance. The Watchers learned this too late. Humanity learned it slowly, and Enoch learned it by seeing both sides of prayer at once. Some cries brought rescue. Some cries brought judgment, and some cries were met with silence that could not be undone. Uriel remained present through all of it, listening, witnessing, understanding. The angel of silent prayers does not promise that everything will change. He promises that nothing goes unheard, and sometimes the silence itself is the answer. Seeing the truth was not gentle. When Uriel showed Enoch the hidden parts of creation, the human body could barely handle it. The mind struggled to keep up. The heart raced. Fear came without warning. This was not because Enoch was weak. It was because truth, when fully exposed, is too much for flesh to carry easily. Each time deeper knowledge was revealed, Enoch began to shake. His body reacted before his thoughts could. He had lived a righteous life, yet what he saw went far beyond anything a human was meant to face without preparation. One moment stood out more than the others. Standing near the prison of the fallen angels, Enoch felt terror take hold of him. The sight was overwhelming. Fire burned below. Powerful beings were bound and helpless. Their suffering was real. Their fate was sealed. His fear was so clear that it could not be hidden. Uriel noticed. Instead of rebuking him, Uriel asked why he was afraid. Not to shame him, but to steady him. The question itself was meant to help Enoch breathe, to remember where he stood and why he was there. What Enoch was seeing was not chaos. It was justice, hard to look at, harder to accept, but real. Even holy men tremble when they see reality without any veil. This has always been the case. When humans encounter angels or see beyond their world, their strength fails them. Their knees give way. Their minds struggle to hold what their eyes are shown. Enoch was no different. The light being shown to him was too strong at first. It stripped away simple ideas and comfortable beliefs. There was no room left for guessing or hoping things would turn out differently. Everything was exposed. The truth did not wait for Enoch to be ready. It did not soften itself. It arrived whole, heavy, and undeniable. This is what light does when it is pure. It does not comfort the eyes at first. It blinds them. Uriel did not bring this light to harm him. He brought it to teach him. But learning like this comes at a cost. The mind must break before it can be rebuilt. What Enoch once believed about justice, mercy, and consequence could not survive what he saw. Those ideas shattered. In their place came understanding. Nothing was hidden from God. Nothing escaped notice. No being, angel or human, avoided consequence. That realization alone was enough to shake a man. Yet slowly, the fear eased. The shaking stopped. The panic passed. What remained was clarity. Enoch did not leave these visions confused. He left changed, stronger in knowledge, clearer in purpose. The truth had hurt, but it had also settled something deep inside him. The light had broken his old understanding, but it did not leave him empty. It left him awake, Uriel stayed with him through this process, not forcing, not rushing, allowing the truth to sink in at the pace a human mind could manage. The lesson was simple, but heavy. Truth does not ask permission before it changes you. Reality does not adjust itself to comfort you, but once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. The light that breaks the mind is the same light that frees it, and Enoch, though shaken, walked forward with eyes open. Throughout history, people have called on angels for help. They ask for protection, healing, guidance, or comfort. Angels like Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael became familiar names because they represent things people naturally seek. Protection feels safe. Good news brings hope. Healing brings relief. These are easy prayers to speak. Uriel is different, and that difference explains why his name is rarely spoken. Uriel's role has never been about comfort. He brings understanding, and understanding is not always gentle. To ask for his presence is to ask for the full truth, without softness or illusion. People sense that once truth is revealed, it cannot be taken back. When Uriel shines light on a situation, excuses disappear, confusion fades, judgment begins to make sense. That realization can be frightening because it leaves no place to hide. There is also a historical reason for Uriel's absence in common prayer. His stories survived mainly in older writings like Enoch and 2nd Esdras, texts that were not included in the main scriptures accepted by many churches. Over time, religious authorities focused only on angels, named directly in those scriptures. As a result, Uriel slowly faded from everyday teaching and devotion, especially in Western traditions. Many people simply never heard his name growing up. But beyond history, the deeper reason remains personal. Invoking Uriel means asking to be confronted, not comforted. It means asking to see one's own life clearly, not just the faults of the world. Michael stands against external enemies. Uriel exposes internal ones. That kind of light is harder to welcome. Stories about Uriel often reflect this seriousness. In some traditions, he guards Eden with fire. In others, he oversees places of judgment or repentance. He is not shown as gentle or playful. He is shown as steady, firm, and impossible to deceive. This is not the kind of angel people imagine when they want reassurance or peace. Most people avoid this kind of clarity until they are forced into it. Comfort is easier to ask for than correction. Yet correction, when accepted, brings deeper peace than comfort ever could. Uriel offers that kind of peace, but only after truth has done its work. This is why he remains in the background, not because he lacks importance, but because his gift is severe mercy. He removes confusion. He explains why things happen. He shows that judgment is not random and suffering is not unnoticed. That knowledge can feel heavy, but it also ends bitterness and endless questioning. Those who encountered Uriel did not walk away destroyed. Enoch gained understanding and peace. Noah gained preparation and survival. The truth did not break them. It strengthened them. It gave them clarity when others had only fear. Uriel is rarely invoked because few people are ready to ask for what he brings. But his role remains essential. He ensures that when God acts, those actions can eventually be understood. He ensures that the story of the world ends not in confusion, but in clarity. And when that clarity finally comes, silence will fall, not because nothing makes sense, but because everything does. Uriel is called the angel of fire because he carries the light of truth rather than destruction. His fire reveals what is hidden and explains why judgment and suffering exist. When that light shines, excuses fade and confusion ends. Though this truth can be hard to face, it ultimately brings clarity and peace. Uriel does not force change, but once the truth is seen, it cannot be ignored. His presence reminds us that God's justice is never random and never without purpose. In that understanding, Fear slowly gives way to trust.